Let's talk about starting seeds and growing a garden, but doing it on a budget. Let's get started. So, you want to start a homestead? Gardening is often the first step to self-sufficiency, and when you talk about starting a homestead, everyone already thinks that you're a master gardener. So if you're a beginner gardener, let's talk about some tips and tricks that will help you succeed and help you stay in a budget. Things don't have to cost a ton of money when you start out gardening or homesteading. Like we've covered in the past, things need to be purposeful, not pretty. So you can always utilize and DIY a lot of these projects. And if you really want your Instagram and Pinterest worthy photos, that can come along later. We're not showing off to anybody. We're trying to be self-sufficient and take care of our home, our body, our families. So let's talk about some quick and easy tips to go over. Seed starting strategies. So you can always start your seeds indoors. You don't have to have a greenhouse. There's plenty of DIY ideas that you can use, or just use a sunny window with your seeds. It's an easy way to stretch your garden budget. Repurposing containers. So you can get creative and turn everyday items into seed starters or quirky planters. You got egg cartons, yogurt cups, toilet paper rolls. Those are perfect for starting seeds. Just make sure you add drainage holes. If like you use a yogurt cup, you don't want soggy seeds. And as your plants grow, you can transfer them into old buckets, even shoes. I know that seems gross. I guess it depends on what you're growing. I don't think I would put, for say, like a tomato plant in a shoe, maybe a pretty flower or something. It'd be super creative and a fun way to show off your pretty flowers, but I don't think I would be eating tomato shoes. But it's still an idea. It saves you cash and definitely adds some personality to your garden. DIY grow lights. Grow lights can be really expensive, and if your window seal just isn't cutting it, you can use old lamps and just switch out the bulbs into a grow light or LED. Use a shallow plastic bin and use it at the base to hold your lights and create a perfect space for your seedlings. Use reflective materials, things like tin foil, things that are super shiny and that will help give you the extra reflection that it takes for your seedlings to thrive. Save seeds from your plants at the end of the season. So I actually have some right here. These are all seeds from last season. There are literally thousands of seeds in here. These are my marigold seeds, so I will not have to plant marigolds at all this year. Not to mention that marigolds can survive the winter. So those buds, after we have those pretty flowers and they start closing up, they start seeding, which is all of those. And what'll happen is, obviously, if you don't pull them, or wind just takes its natural course, and they drop right where they are, and they'll survive the winter and they will just regrow. So they're not necessarily a perennial, but after you have marigolds in your garden, you usually don't ever have to plant marigolds again, except, sometimes people want them in different places, so then they pull them and they still just buy them, but you don't have to do that. Anyways, you can get perennials or just save your seeds, and that'll help next season from having to buy them. Come on. Now, I think I'm gonna just blow up this screen here so that you guys can see all these DIY greenhouse ideas, because there's so many. I don't think I want to go over all of them, so I'll show that now. So I have a couple other ideas for you apartment growers or balcony growers in here too. So you can always utilize the square foot gardening method or vertical gardening method, and I'll just touch briefly on both of those. So square foot gardening is just a super efficient way to maximize your space. And so what you do is it's square foot, so 1 foot by 1 foot. So if you have a garden bed or just some place in general that you want to utilize this method, and you plant each plant in your square foot different things to help utilize the space, and it saves money, soil, supplies. So you could do lettuce, spinach, basil, like everything would have its own little area. Vertical gardening is just like it sounds. You're growing up instead of out. So if you're on a balcony or trying to grow inside, you can use things like pallets, or you can stack planters on top of each other. You can use plastic bottles and attach them to like the wall and grow up, small crops that are able to do that with not a lot of soil. So if you don't have seeds to save, or the ones that you can't harvest yourself, you can always utilize seed trading opportunities with your fellow gardeners in your community. That will definitely help save you some money, and it helps out your community as well. Save some tomato seeds, trade them for some basil seeds next year. It's a win-win for everybody. You can start your veggies from scraps. A lot of your kitchen scraps can actually be regrown, so instead of throwing them out, you just put them in a shallow container with water and they will regrow. Things like lettuce, carrots, onions, celery, even potatoes. You don't have to throw those out when they sprout. Just put them in a dark dry place, and save them for next season. All right, now let's talk about trying to enhance your gardening success. So, companion planting. Please tell me you've heard about this. This is the best thing that you could possibly utilize. I recommend this not just for beginners, but definitely for the experts out there. And I don't know how you would be an expert without utilizing companion planting. It helps with pests. It helps your soil. It helps the taste of some of your veggies too. Basically what you do is you pair plants that work well together. You can find out these things doing a simple Google search. There's apps that you can look up to say, okay, what grows well with peas, or what should you not grow peas next to? When I was first starting, I didn't even realize this was a thing. So a lot of my plants, I just like, oh, well, this is going to work out well for me, but it didn't work out well for the plants. So they didn't thrive like they should have if I would have just done a little bit more research and found out that, hey, I shouldn't have planted those together, because they both need a lot of the same nutrients, so they fight over it and they're not getting what they need, so neither one of them thrived. Healthy soil is always going to be the foundation of a thriving garden, and instead of spending a whole bunch of money on fertilizers, you can also just head back to the kitchen and utilize some of those things. For instance, you can soak banana peels in water and use the water to give your soil more potassium. You can use organic materials that you already have at your house, like leaves and mulch, grass clippings, and all of those things will help enhance your soil structure. And it's already free because you just have them on your property. Always start easy when you're first beginning. We want to succeed. We want to build your confidence. So things like lettuce, kale, spinach, herbs are perfect for beginners. They grow really quick and they're low maintenance. They thrive in containers and they're ideal for even the tiniest spaces. And they also have dwarf varieties that you can try out with tomatoes and peppers, things like that. Always rotate your crops year to year so you have a successful gardening season and your soil stays thriving. You wouldn't want to plant tomatoes in the same spot year after year. Your soil will just be super depleted, and there's no way that you're going to be able to just keep adding and adding fertilizer. You want to be able to allow the plants to fix the soil themselves, I guess you can say. So for instance, tomatoes really are hard on the soil when it comes to nitrogen. So I'm going to plant peas in the area where I had my tomatoes last year, and peas are naturally going to add in nitrogen back into the soil. So it's going to fix itself. So work with the earth, work with the soil, not against it. You just got to do a little bit of research, and after you get started, everything will start clicking into place. So don't be overwhelmed. Just do a little bit at a time. Do what you can handle, and just go from there. And you'll start thriving. You'll gain the confidence that you need to grow bigger and stronger year after year. Mulching will help save you on water, and it's a great weed control option. I love mulching my walkways and whatnot I get a lot of weeds in my area. No matter if I use garden fabric, I don't know if it's just because of all the windstorms we get around here or what, but I have a lot of weeds in my garden usually. So I have my landscape fabric and I mulch, and that helps keep a lot of the weeds down, and it makes your garden look pretty too. Starting with a small manageable garden will help set you up for success, and you'll be off to a great start. Make sure you pick out the few things that you like to eat and that you want to grow. You can utilize the DIY ideas and recycling, repurposing to help save you money. Seed swapping, save your seeds for next year. And now we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into pest control and give you some more ideas for DIY options and staying green. Happy gardening!